Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the token unlocks. I know there has been a lot of negative sentiment around this sort of thing, and we got some news today, so I thought it was a good time to finally launch this video. And I'm going to be talking about what the token unlocks will actually do, who it will impact, and why you shouldn't really be concerned. I think everything's going to be all right. I'm going to explain to you exactly what I'm talking about, okay? So let's do it. As always, welcome back to the channel where I am Scoriox and I love to do the maths and you do that sweet degen. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, and please always do your own research, especially when investing in cryptocurrency and NFTs. They're extremely volatile right now, so everyone should always be careful. Now, the token unlocks. So, to give you a little bit of background on this sort of thing, right, we need to talk about what is unlocking. So there was something called a seed round, and this happens in most stocks as well as now cryptos and things like that, where you need to initially fund the token. So if you create let's say a million tokens, right? You can't just create a million tokens out of nothing. Well, you can, but they'll have zero value. That's that. You need to assign money to them. Give money to an exchange or something like that. You get the idea. And what happens is you need to offer them to someone. You need to sell them to someone. You need someone to buy them and them have essentially no promise of getting the money back. That is called an initial investment. And VCs will typically go for these sorts of things with stocks, startups, and things like that. It's a capital raise so that you have money to build the company with. And what Illuvium did is it sold 500,000 tokens in a pre-seed round for $1 a token. And it sold 1.5 million tokens in a seed round for $3 a token. It also gave 1.4 million tokens or so, I think, to team members. All of these tokens started off locked for approximately 12 months, maybe a little bit longer. We just got news today that the unlock has been there's a proposal for it, which I don't see being denied, to push back this unlock to the 30th of June. What does that mean? It was going to be in a few weeks, and now it's in a few months, which is good because I'm about to explain all of that to you with one of my great spreadsheets, but we're going to discuss how it affects the token price and then how the game's launch can actually help with all of this. And that's why it's been pushed back, because the game was delayed and their initial plan was to have the tokens unlock at the same time as the game's launch, so they could help balance each other out. Again, I'll explain that. It's a bit complex, but just follow along and you guys will be all right. As always, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell and leave a comment down below. If you like this sort of content, if you have any questions and things as well, I'd be happy to field them. I know this isn't too easy to get through, so I definitely would love to field some questions if you guys have them, especially so others can see that and kind of understand even more about what I'm talking about. Okay, so they've got all these tokens. Why would they do this? Well, the pre-seed, for example, bought the token for $1 off the Illuvium team because they believed in the project. Essentially, they gave them 500,000 US dollars and said, here you go, build your game. Then the team launched the token and the community came in and bought up heaps and heaps of the supply because they released more tokens. So it's a bit hard to explain, but say 2 million tokens at an average of about $3 were sold. That gives you a $6 million market cap. And now you have 2 million tokens that are locked away. You then create your circulating supply from a separate section of tokens, in this case about 600,000 tokens, and then you use that market cap to put these tokens on the market, and then people buy and sell it like anything else. At $3 at 6 million market cap, 600,000 tokens, you're looking at, I think, $10 a token, if the maths is right off the top of my head. If you're looking at $10 a token, that's still really good. For example, it's $500 now. So if you bought right at the start from $10 a token, I don't think it was exactly that, but theoretically, then you would have had a 50x. Now think about the seed investors, they made a 500x for the promise of locking their tokens for a year. Essentially, they're taking the risk on board and saying if it goes to zero, damn, that's a shame. We tried. If it goes up, then, well, we've got one of the best premiums in the entirety of crypto. Okay, so let me show you kind of what's happening with these unlocks. I don't want to delay too long. So I've got the unlocks listed. It's a really simple version of some of my other calculators because I want to focus in on this for today. But essentially, I've got the unlocks listed as per that post, starting in June now instead of instead of March. And I'll discuss in my other spreadsheets, I'll fix it up and do an updated video too. So don't forget to subscribe. But essentially, for the first month, there's about 213,887 tokens unlocking. And it keeps this sort of trend up for a long time. And this is what the proposal was talking about. It was talking about that first year with the seed tokens. Now, there is more tokens in here. This is the team tokens that are also unlocking. But with the seed tokens, you can see there's quite a few seed and team to combine, which is what this is. There's quite a few unlocking in that first 12 months. And then it falls off quite heavily up until about 2025. Okay, so there's a lot unlocking. What does this mean? So if your circulating supply starts at, say, 600,000, like I have on my spreadsheet, and then you add another 600,000, the market cap didn't change. The money inside the protocol did not change, but your tokens doubled. So what happens is your token price halves. I could go into the maths of that. It's actually quite simple, but simply put, double the tokens, half the price if the money doesn't change. But now what I'm looking at the spreadsheet is I'm looking at the revenue. I've calculated, you're going to kind of need to trust me on this, but I've calculated the revenue required to go into the game, and through revenue distribution, I'm pretty much just looking at the amount of Ethereum that enters the game, whether it's buying alluvials at the marketplace and that fee, or buying fuel from the DAO and things like that. Money coming into the game, I have estimated needs to be about $150 million each month. Now, quite frankly, that is quite a lot of money. A lot of my projections have been in the 2 to 4 billion mark, which is actually hitting this pretty much spot on. So if you expect that sort of revenue in the game, that is what we're looking at. Now, one thing I should mention is I am looking at simulated sell pressure. I'm assuming that 30% of the money coming in and being given to stakers as revenue distribution is being sold. Okay, so it's being sold and creating sell pressure on the token, but the rest is buy pressure. So what I'm looking at for year one is I'm looking at about $2.5 million entering the ecosystem in the first year. Basically, Ethereum purchases, whether it be Illuvitas, land sale, buying fuel for the game and things like that, and market fees, as well as merchandise and stuff like that. So between everything, really everything kicking off, maybe set 2 is just starting towards the end of this year, I definitely think we can hit this mark. So what that means is we're looking at taking everything else out of the equation for now. If the game performs, I'm going to say moderately, I think 2 billion can be quite conservative at times. I think if we're talking moderately, then the game should offset any token unlocks for that first year. If everything goes really well, if we get crazy delays, then it could cause some problems and the token could dip. But there will be a lot of people sitting at the bottom there ready to buy it up, including some of those seed investors. So I wouldn't think all hope is lost in any of these scenarios. Definitely consider that. But what I'm trying to calculate here is if the game can offset the unlocks, and it looks like we're definitely within the realm of possibility there. For year 2, we only need 1.2 million. And for year 3, only about 850,000 US dollars. What does this mean is that between the first 3 years, we only need about 4.5 billion. Consider that Axie almost made 2 to 3 billion in its first year. I think it's quite reasonable, especially once Illuvium's created a few other games as well, that we could be hitting 4 billion over the first 3 years quite easily. And we'll be back at the $500 mark very quickly. And it's also worth considering that any revenue above this is basically just increased token price. In these calculations, at least. If you think less people are selling, and I don't believe the seed investors have really much intention of selling, maybe taking some profits from revenue distribution, like the most of us, then you would need even less. So if I put this simulated sell pressure down at 10%, then you need just under 2 billion in the first year. Obviously 10% is a bit low, so that's where I'm liking to put this. Now, players required. What am I calculating here? I do not think these targets are kind of what we're looking for, but I wanted to create something really easy to understand. So I found this on the internet. I should really post the short source. It's from Statista. I don't mind Statista, probably not super accurate. Anyways, all it's doing is it's telling us the total annual in-game expenditure by gaming spenders in 2021 by platform. I believe this is average American spenders. And what it says for computers is $71. What this means is that in the first year, we would need about 34 million players. The second year, 17 million. And in the third year, 12 million. What that is every player spends on average $70. This is average. So you could have half of them being free players and the other half are on average 140 and it averages out to 70. I hope that makes sense, but that's just kind of how I'm looking at this. There is one last thing I wanted to touch on before I leave you guys here right now. Okay? And that's this. The VC... Oh, whoop, that didn't work. The VC ROI. VC is my shorthand for seed investor in this case. The pre-seed, if they sold tokens to return their initial investment only, they would need to sell 1,000 tokens. The seed investors would need to sell 9,000 tokens. That's about 10,000 tokens in total. And what that does at a $500 token price is about $5 million worth of tokens they would need to sell to break even on their initial investment. Now, you compare them selling 5 million tokens to us making $2.5 billion in revenue, it just doesn't compare. They could get their initial back at basically no cost to the ecosystem. That's something some people don't seem to understand. Obviously, they might not necessarily just try and take their initial out, but when you really think of the big scheme of things, it won't take much for them to return their initial. With the team tokens, they don't have an initial. They're just taking out profit if they want to, and they know well that the game they're building is going to last many, many years and going to be worth significantly more than it is today. So if you guys are stressed out about the token unlocks, I hope I helped put you at ease. Just know that there's a lot of things at play here, and this proposal in particular is telling me, among many others I'm sure, that the Illuvium team has everyone's best interests at heart, whether it's VCs or otherwise. And the VCs were the ones to suggest pushing back the unlock. They care about the project just as much as you guys do. And if you cared about something like this, why would you sell all your tokens, right? They have a lot of faith in the community and the project. So do I, obviously. But it's about whether or not you have faith in the project. If you believe in Illuvium, if you believe in the game, if you believe it can do amazing things beyond just being a game, then invest in it. This is not financial advice and personal opinion, but it's your opinion that should fuel your investments. If you do not believe in Illuvium, then maybe you shouldn't be investing in something you don't believe in. If it goes to zero, honestly, I wouldn't really regret a thing. I believed in it, and I know this is crazy to say, but I believe if Illuvium can't do something great in this crypto gaming space, I don't think anything ever will. So I'd rather just lose my money and not believe in crypto gaming as much as I did before. That's just kind of how it would be. I believe heavily in this project and what it has to offer, and I just hope you guys do too. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video. I hope that you'll watch that next video up in the top right hand corner, or don't, but I really do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.